on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good Friday morning. Amy Jacobson here. John Anthony in for Dan Proft. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And you have a show tomorrow, every Saturday, Black and Right Radio, 4 to 7 p.m. right here on AM 560.
You said it right.
Thank you. Well, I wrote it down.
All of them.
I'll read anything that's in front of me.
Cheat sheet.
So we talked earlier about this gruesome OIG report detailing CPS sexual grooming and assaults of their students. Yeah. And why no names? And why does the union protect these people? We'll begin there with Paul Vallas. You know him. You love him. He's normally here filling in where you're sitting. But since he's running for mayor, I can't have him here because then if we give him time, then we have to give every single candidate
that would be amazing.
Equal opportunity, which I think we should.
That would be amazing.
Oh, I'd love to have Cam Buckner in here.
Yeah.
Brandon Johnson, Chuy Garcia. That'd be, for 4 hours.
Yeah, they wouldn't show.
They wouldn't show. No. Right. And I'd be doing, what have any of the candidates, would any of them show?
Willie.
Maybe. Oh, Willie Wilson. Yeah. That would be it. That would it, right?
Yeah, Willie would.
Maybe
Willie
Mayor
would
Lightfoot.
Really?
She used to come out when she ran. No, she does not hate me.
Okay.
Governor Pritzker hates me.
Oh.
She. I mean, if I have to list people that hate me, Governor Pritzker is number one.
There's levels to hate.
And then there's some aldermen who I've never met that don't like me, which I don't know why. But I don't say they hate me. I say they don't understand me.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good Christian way to put it. Right, Paul?
They despise you, but okay.
Yes.
They don't understand you. That's it.
That's what it is. Because if they knew me, they wouldn't hate me. They may not like me, but hate's a strong word. Paul Vallas, former superintendent of Bridgeport Public Schools, Recovery School District of Louisiana, former CEO of both school districts of Philadelphia and CPS, and now you are running for mayor, and you have a few new ads out. Let's begin there.
Crime is out of control, and combative leadership is failing us.
Paul Vallas will put crime and your safety first.
I'll work with every community in every part of our city to confront our crime problem, hold department leadership accountable, put more police on our streets and public transportation, open schools after hours to ensure young Chicagoans have safe alternatives to gangs and violence, and I'll bring people together to get it done.
Paul Vallas, crime and your safety is his top priority.
And here's the second one. Hold on. Let me move that over here.
Crime is Chicago's biggest problem. And Paul Vallas is a lifelong Democrat who puts crime and your safety first. As city budget director, he made public safety a priority, helping grow the police department to record levels. Crime came down. Later, Vallas advised President Obama's Department of Justice on needed criminal justice reforms. And when Mayor Lightfoot and our police were at odds, Paul Vallas led negotiations that got an agreement no one thought possible. Paul Vallas. The difference? He puts crime and your safety first.
All right, John Anthony, did that move the needle for you?
Yeah, but I can't vote for him.
Oh, that's right, because you don't live in the city, but you can move into the city.
No, don't make me use bad language.
All right, welcome, Paul Vallas. Before we get to those ads, and I know I played them ahead, did you read this Wire Points article about this OIG report dealing, they found 600, or the OIG for CPS received more than 600 adult on-student misconduct allegations for the 2021-2022 school year.
Well, if you remember 4 years ago, that was a big issue. It became a big issue because the Tribune had done a series of reports about revelations about cover-ups and things like that. And what's been done since then, because they had the Office of the Inspector General do an investigation then, and of course they brought in, they had an independent investigation done, and what's happened in 4 years, you would think that they would have not only have put the right protocols in place, but you would have thought that they would have recognized that transparency is absolutely critical to having the type of accountability you need. So, look, it's just another failing on the mayor's watch. The running of the schools, the management of the schools have been an unmitigated disaster. They lost another 11,000 students last year. They've now lost they've lost 11% of their students since COVID began, and yet they're spending 40% more per pupil. I mean, people are fleeing the system left and right. there's just an absence of effective management, certainly an absence of accountability.
So in this case, so walk me through this, because they're not naming the teachers' names or the schools. And I'm a parent. I'm a CPS parent. And I would like to know if the gym teacher, I mean, this goes on and on, just horrific graphic details. A CPS high school gym teacher repeatedly exposed himself to a sophomore girl and connected with other 15-year-old students on social media. And he sent them videos of himself masturbating and engaged in other sexual acts. Why don't we know his name, and why isn't he behind bars? Or is that how the union works? They protect them?
Well, that's a good look. I think that's more a product of mismanagement. It's easy to blame the union, or it's easy to blame the union for everything. But when it comes to identifying those individuals, removing them from the classroom, then conducting an investigation in an expeditious way, bringing DCFS in, and the appropriate state agencies so that you can fully investigate what went on, and then moving to fire that individual. I mean, there needs to be a process for doing that. Our approach when I ran the schools many moons ago was to do 24/7 reporting of serious incidents. If there was a accusation made against a teacher or anyone else, we would immediately pull them out of their school, or for that matter, the principal. It doesn't matter who the employee was, and we would immediately bring them to the central office while the investigation ensued. And at the time, we had a very close working relationship with the Department of Children and Family Services, who were literally embedded in the school district, as was our school police, who were actually run by retired Chicago police officers. So we had a connection, so that would both trigger a police investigation and a DCFS investigation. So we had a process for immediately taking action to remove the individuals who were being accused, and to ensure that individual was in a place where they could do no further damage, while providing them with due process. It's not like we put out the name of the individual when they were reassigned, but the idea is to take action to immediately protect the child, and then to investigate in an expeditious manner, because there's nothing worse than justice denied.
Yeah, and Paul, there's a poll out from Block Club Chicago. I think there was 25%.
Crane Chicago
Business. 25% of the people said they'd vote for Chewy. 25% for, surprising in my opinion, Brandon Johnson, and 15% said they'd vote for Paul Vallas, while Lori Lightfoot follows up in fourth place with 11 points. What do you think this poll is saying about the voters of Chicago and the change that they're looking for?
Well, that was one of those mail-in polls that provide a proper sampling, and it's the type of poll where when the poll goes out, like if you're Johnson, who's supported by the Chicago Teachers Union, they can in effect get all their members to vote. Or if you're Chewy, who's supported by Belanoff and his foot soldiers, they'll go out there and they'll vote likewise. Because if you notice in that same poll, Willie Wilson is at 3%. Now, do we really believe that Willie Wilson is at 3%?
No.
As you know, a far more accurate poll came out, and it's not because it showed me in a much stronger position. Although, that Crane's poll certainly shows that I'm well positioned to be in a runoff. But that poll that Mike Flannery put out on Fox News showed Garcia in first place, me in second place, Lightfoot fading in third place, and Willie in double digits in fourth place, and Johnson in single digits. I haven't seen a credible poll that didn't have Johnson in a stronger position, or with more than 5 or 6 or 7 percentage points.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, we're going to be seeing so many polls, and trust me, candidates themselves are going to put out their own polls to put them in the best of light. So at this point, I'm just focusing. I'm running a race. I see the finish line, and I'm not looking at who's running in the other lanes because that only detracts me. So right now, we anticipate being in the runoff, and we anticipate beating anyone who we are in the runoff with.
Yeah, and have you been hearing on the campaign trail in Chicago? Because I know the property tax bills didn't come out until
now they're extending the time that you can pay it, because
correct.
Who's going to pay it on time?
And
well, if you don't have the money, you're not going to pay it on time.
And the TIF the tax increment finance district, they took 15.5% of that, right? Now, in some areas, especially Latinos, there was a 46% increase in their property tax bill. Is this? Are you hearing from the people across Chicago, especially after Fritz reassessed some of the values? Are you hearing from the people in the neighborhoods about how these unfair, or the left likes to call it unfair, tax bills are coming to their home now?
Absolutely. Next to crime, and crime really is issue 1, 2, and 3. But after crime, it's outrage over high property taxes. And let me point out, and it's important for your listeners to realize that since 2019, since the mayor took office, property taxes have grown by almost $900 million, despite the fact that the city and the schools got $6 billion in COVID revenue from the federal government. I mean, what the hell is that about? So much for holding the line on property taxes this year. And as you know, the property tax bills were delayed this year right after the election.
Mm-hmm.
They did not want those second installment shocks to happen before the election, totally manipulating the process. And of course, the delay and the bills getting out has created its own hardships. I mean, look, when I get elected mayor, I will return the city to long-term budgeting, long-term financial planning. I will tackle all the budgets that the mayor controls, because the mayor controls $20 billion in spending, just not the city, but the schools and the park district and CHA and CTA. And I will hold the line on property taxes, just as I did when I was city budget director in the Daily in the early years, and just as I did when I was school superintendent, because we are driving people between the high crime, between the lack of quality school choices, and between increasingly, unaffordability of living in our communities. We are driving people out of the city, and this is simply madness. And the property tax increases are just symptomatic of the failure of leadership at City Hall.
And what is your plan on crime?
Well,
I mean,
simple.
hire more officers, right? Because we have 2,000 less police officers than we did when Mayor Lightfoot took office.
Take this to the bank. I will fill the vacancies. I will restore the 600 police officers, that positions that she eliminated, and I will get rid of the privatized, unarmed, poorly trained police officers, private police officers or security, I should say, security, that on the CTA who cannot make arrests, and I will add another 300 Chicago police officers to the CTA detail. So what you will have is every single beat, every single police beat will have a police car. That means the 911 calls will be responded to in real time. That means every single CTA platform and every single CTA train station will have officers walking that beat, and that means we will have police officers riding trains both in uniform and undercover, like they do in New York.
Yep. Because
there is no more important issue for the mayor to address than the safety of all its residents, of all its transit riders, of all its businesses. It's critical that we put our money where our mouth is when it comes to making public safety the top priority for the mayor of the city of Chicago.
Now, Paul, you know that I don't like when people jump into the race late in the game. That's what Chuy Garcia did. I don't know what people's fascination with him is. He hasn't done anything as a congressman. And I think that Sam from FTX, who gave him campaign contributions, he should at least pay that back. So what is it about Chuy that people don't know?
Well, besides the fact that he's done nothing, besides the fact that he's part of the defund the cops movement, besides the fact that who votes to demand or to mandate that the president of the Ukraine negotiate with Putin, or for that matter, who votes against the Iron Dome for Israel? I mean, votes with Ocasio-Cortez on not funding the Iron Dome, which is critical to Israel's survival. The Iron Dome shoot down Scuds that are shot into Israel periodically, and sometimes in the thousands. And who votes against that? I mean, look, Chuy Garcia has never run anything, and Chuy Garcia has done nothing that is memorable from a legislative standpoint. But he thinks that his background and his skills have made him well suited to be the mayor of the city of Chicago. It's critically important, whether it's Chuy Garcia or anyone else, for the voters to really look at an individual's record, look at their history, because their history is a good predictor of what they'll do in the future, and to look at what they're recommending and what they're offering. And, Chuy Garcia has said nothing on public safety other than defund the police and provide less support for the police. And he certainly remained silent on the schools and the devastating consequences the 15 months of the school closures have had on poor families and just on the significant spike in the crime rate.
Right.
So, so I think hopefully Chuy will face the same scrutiny that so many of the other candidates who have entered the primary are now facing.
Yeah, I think he also is being rewarded for the Obama effect. The first Mexican, real true Mexican that has an opportunity to become mayor of Chicago. I think that's one of the things he's dealing with. But Paul, I want to know, when you look at how the aldermanic setup is in Chicago, you talked about getting all these police officers. How do you think you're going to be able to get that through this very leftist, anti-police, alderman that we have, that Chicago has set up? Do you think that's going to be a problem, and how do you navigate through that?
No, not at all, because you don't have aldermen who are screaming, who are calling for the funding of the police, now demanding more police officers in their wards. Look, even though this mayor is extraordinarily unpopular with the city council, to the point where record number of aldermen are leaving, she still hasn't lost the budget. She still has not lost a single vote in the city council, and when she tries to bottle up even good ordinances, she seems to be able to do that. So, I anticipate having great success with the city council because the mayor really dominates the city council. But I'm also going to have great success with the city council because I've had great success before. Because I am inclusive, I am respectful of aldermanic input, and I am going to make them a partner when it comes to governance, and not treat them like potted plants, which is what this mayor has done, and in some cases past mayors have done also. So I'm very confident that on the public safety issues, I'm going to have strong city council support, and I'm going to be able to make the changes that need to be made, particularly in leadership, and more importantly, I'm going to be able to return the policing strategy to community policing, where the local police beats and the CTA stations, the platforms are covered by trained police officers with the power to arrest. Police officers who will be able to be proactive, because that's going to be critical for keeping the city safe.
All right, Paul Vallas, we're going to leave it there for today. The election is February 28th.
That close?
Is that? Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's next month. So
Wasn't it normally in April?
no.
No.
So, are you going to be releasing any more campaign ads on television?
We will. We'll run these ads for a couple of weeks, and then we'll go up and we'll have some. We have some other ads in the can. We'll also do our own surveys and things like that. Obviously, we want the ads to reach the broadest number of people, and we want them to be effective. But can I leave my website?
Yes, I was just going to ask you, where can people get more information about you?
I know last time you asked me, I forgot, remember? So I wrote it down. It's Paul Vallas, PaulVallas 2023.com. And people can also follow me on Facebook. As you know, I do a lot of posting on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Somebody referred to my posts as being so long that they reminded me of Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. But you can reach me. You can reach me on either LinkedIn and on Facebook, just under simple Paul Vallas, PaulVallas.
All right, Paul Vallas, PaulVallas2023.com. Good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk to you before the election.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The bigger your 401k, the better your return.